Alright guys, MTech Guy here, and today we're going to be working on the E53 X5. We've got a broken window regulator to replace. Super common problem on these cars. Now, I did talk about this in my last video. We had a look at doing a quick fix just to be able to get the window held up in place and see you through until you get hold of the parts or whatnot, be able to get a repair done. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at doing the proper repair. So like I say, this is a super common problem on these cars, on most BMWs of this generation, but especially the E53 X5s, because you've got them large windows, you've got a fair volume of glass there, fair amount of weight working against the regulators, so they do break over time, they do fail. Okay, so what is a window regulator and how does it fail? So of course you've got an electric motor rotating inside your door there, working off your switch. Now, to be able to transfer that rotating motion into an up and down motion, you have a steel channel inside your door there with a slider that runs up and down it, and your window is bolted to that. And then it has a setup with some pulleys and cables that work off your electric motor with gears, and that transfers that rotating motion into an up and down motion, and nice and smooth positive motion for your window to go up and down. Now, these window regulators have several plastic clips, and they do deteriorate over time, just like any plastic clips. They break, they come apart, they get sloppy, and what can happen is your window can either stick in position or drop down completely, like mine has done here today. So ultimately the fix is just to pull the whole window regulator out as a unit. Now, sometimes you can get away with just replacing the plastic clips, but to be honest, the best way to go about it is just to pull the whole old window regulator out in one unit and replace it with a new one. So we'll take a look at the new parts now. Okay, so here we have the new part that we'll be fitting today. Now, I've gone for a Mealy brand. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Maybe my viewers over in Deutschland can steer me right on that. But anyhow, I've gone for this brand. Now, normally when I'm buying parts, I'll normally go for OEM or genuine BMW. But the case with this car, it's got 240,000 Ks. It's, 17 years old now. So I'm not going to start dumping huge amounts of money in it just to repair these things as they pop up. So I've gone for this brand. This is probably the next best thing. Now, I have gone for the really cheaper brand window regulators in the past with an old E46 that had an old wagon, station wagon, and I did have a lot of problems with them getting to work properly. They used to bind up, and in the end I ended up binning it and getting a genuine BMW one. So try to avoid the really cheap ones, so go OEM, genuine BMW, and then, like I say, the next best thing. I found these aren't too bad. Okay, so there's the new part right there. That's what it looks like. Now, what I'll do is I'll leave a part number for the genuine BMW one in the description below. Now, just make sure that you do buy the correct one when you go out to buy one. They are specific to each door, so I'm working on the right rear door here, and I've got one for the right rear door. So just make sure you get the correct one for the one that you're replacing. Okay, so next up we'll take a look at the steps involved to replace your window regulator. Now, the rear door that we're working on here does have an airbag in place. It's behind the door card there. Now, normally when you need to remove a window regulator, you'll often need to remove the airbag too and get it out of the way. Now, when you disconnect it, to avoid any potential for it going off or to avoid any codes later on when you reconnect it, it's a good idea to disconnect your battery first. But with the E53 X5, it is quite an involved process. You've got to pull the rear spare wheel out, you've got to lift the air compressor out the way, and to be honest, I've already had a look at this, and we're not going to need to remove the airbag. We can leave it in place while we replace the window regulator. So I'm not going to bother disconnecting the battery today. But if you've got any concerns about the airbag at all, or you do want to remove it, just make sure you disconnect that battery first. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so to start off with, we need to remove the door card. So we've got 4 T20 Torx bolts to remove. There's one down here, just above the pocket, and then there's 3 behind this wooden trim. So what we'll do is we'll prise this off first. So we'll be working from this end, prise it off, and pull it away from the clips, and then there's just a little hook underneath here. So then once you've got all this separated, you just need to slide it back and remove it. So we'll take a look at that now. Okay, so we'll start off with our plastic pry tool. Then using our T20 Torx bit there, we're going to remove the screws. There's one hidden inside here. one over here, one down the bottom here. Then we have one more torque screw behind this airbag logo here, so we'll just pop the clip out, the screwdriver, remove the screw itself. Now that's our 4 torque screws removed. Then next up we're ready to remove the door card itself. Now it's held on by several plastic clips around the perimeter here and then metal clips across the top. So what we'll do to start off with is we'll use a larger plastic pry tool and we'll just start in the bottom corners and prise it away, and then just work around with your fingers to release it from them plastic clips from the door. And then once we've got the bottom section and the 2 sides moved away, we'll then pull it away from the plastic, from the metal clips at the top. And just be wary before you do remove it completely from the car that there are several electrical connectors to remove at the back there, and also the cable for the door handle. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at the back of the door card here. So when it comes to remove it, like I say, you've got this cable that hooks into here for your door handle. Now that's just like a white plastic piece there. It's just a case of fitting your fingers behind it, grab hold of it, pull it out, and then that just hooks out the way. You've also got electrical connector here for your door handle light, one down here for your speaker, one down there for your window switch, and then one right down the bottom there for your door light also. So once you've got all them unclipped, you're all good to remove the door card right the way from the car. Okay, so next up we're ready to remove the foam vapor barrier here. Now you don't need to pull the whole thing away from the door. All we're looking at doing is just removing these sides here, and then we'll just fold it out of the way, and that'll give us access to our window regulator behind there. So this is just held on by like a black sort of putty. So you want to be careful when you're pulling it away that you don't tear this, because it can cause you moisture issues later on. Especially it can lead to water ending up in the cab of your car and making your carpets wet, so try to avoid tearing it if you can. Now I'm just going to be using a utility knife just to be able to ease that away from the edges there. So we'll get that pulled away and then we'll take a look at the window regulator. Alright, so as you can see, we've got the vapor barrier now removed and pulled out the way. I've just stuck it to the door there, and also I've removed the electrical connector to the speaker there, just to be able to pull this wiring harness up and out the way to give myself a bit of extra room. So the next step is to remove the glass from the window regulator itself, and to do that, if we take a look down here, that small square hole, and we just raise the window up a wee bit, you can see there's a 8mm bolt there, 8mm head. So we're going to remove that and then separate the glass from the regulator. And then next up we're ready to remove the electric motor. So there's just an electrical connector there to pop off, and then we've got 3 T30 torque screws there, so we'll remove them, and then once that's out of the way we're ready to remove the window regulator itself. Okay, so now that we've got the electric motor out the way there, you can see we've got a lovely tangled mess here where it's all gone wrong. So now we're ready to remove the regulator itself. So there's just 3 10mm nuts holding it on, one to remove there, one down the bottom there, and then just one hiding up in this hole there. Okay, so now that we've got our 3 mounting bolts removed, we're ready to remove the window regulator from the door. So to do that, you just want to push the glass away from you a bit there, just to give you a bit of extra wiggle room. And what we're going to do is just grab hold of that, just rotate it slightly clockwise, and then we're going to feed the top end out first, out the door there, and then just maneuver it out of the door like that. Okay, so we've got the old wrecked window regulator out of the door there. Now what I've done here, I've just lifted the glass up again, and I've just used that suction cup that we used in that previous video just to hold it in place, to be able to get the new window regulator in there, and then we can lower the glass down just into the correct position to line up that bolt that sits at the bottom of the glass there to mount it to the regulator itself. You can lift the glass up and do this before you remove the old one or afterwards like I did. Either way, doesn't really matter. So what we'll do now is we'll feed the new regulator in there, we'll get it bolted in position. Okay, so that's the new window regulator in place then and secured with the 3 mounting nuts. Now you can see here, if we look in this square we hold here, see from the factory they've lined that up just perfect for us. So the next job is to lower the glass down, and then we're just going to refit that 8mm nut onto there, and then that'll be the glass secured in place. Okay, now that we've got the new window regulator secured in position there, and we've got the glass now mounted correctly, next job is to refit the electric motor with the 3 T30 Torx bolts there. Alright, so now that the electric motor's back in position, we've got the connector plugged back in. Before we go any further, we'll just make sure our new regulator actually works as it should. So next up, big test. Alright, big test. Goes down. Goes up. Sorted. Okay, so now that we're satisfied that everything's working correctly, what we can do now is put the vapor barrier back in position. We can refit the door card, and then, of course, don't forget all your electrical connectors and your clasp for your door handle, and then we're pretty much sorted. Alright, we've got the door card refitted there now and secured in place with all the fasteners, and of course I've got all them electrical connectors and everything refitted around the back there. I've also given the glass a bit of a clean just to get rid of all them greasy fingerprints from the new regulator. Okay, so there we have it, guys. That's that job sorted. So like I say, super common problem on these cars. If it's not the bloody door handles breaking, it's the window regulators. So if you do own one of these vehicles, it's likely that you will come against this problem at some point. So I hope this video helped you guys out. If you found it interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like, and go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more BMW content. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.